Ketika saya mengajar, yang saya harapkan dari mahasiswa adalah mereka memiliki rasa keingintahuan yang tinggi tentang ilmu yang mereka pelajari. Sehingga saya selalu memotivasi mahasiswa agar terus mencari dan bertanya, yang merupakan hal yang sangat penting dalam proses belajar.
Kuliah di UAB memberikan pengalaman yang tidak pernah saya bayangkan sebelumnya.
Sejak didirikan tahun 1964 atau 51 tahun yang lalu, para pandai-pandai UMP telah bersemangat untuk menciptakan wahana keilmuan dan akhlakul karimah. Alhamdulillah, kini UMP telah bisa berkembang dengan dinamis, baik dari segi fasilitas, prodi maupun jumlah mahasiswa, sehingga ini menjadi sarana yang cukup bagus untuk menciptakan generasi muda yang lebih baik lagi. Dan saya merasa bangga masuk dan menjadi bagian dari kampus ini.
Kuliah di Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo menawarkan biaya hidup dan biaya kuliah yang jauh lebih terjangkau. Namun saya kira soal kualitas kita tidak perlu menunduk bila diperbandingkan dengan universitas-universitas lain di Indonesia.
Dari manapun asal daerahmu, hidup di Purworejo itu seperti hidup di rumah. Tempatnya tenang, orangnya ramah-ramah. Segala hal seperti barang, makanan, dan minuman jauh lebih murah. Dan
Saat pertama kali saya masuk ke Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo, saya seperti datang ke keluarga. Saya mendapatkan ilmu baru, pengetahuan baru, dan saya memiliki banyak teman di berbagai wilayah di Indonesia.
Yang saya rasakan ketika kuliah di sini adalah suasana yang kondusif dengan teman-teman mahasiswa yang ramah, yang tidak individualistik, tidak hedonis. Kemudian di kampus ini juga saya diajarkan untuk tidak hanya mengejar semata-mata duniawi, tetapi juga amalan akhirat. Lebih agamis pokoknya.
Sebagai dosen, apa yang kami lakukan di sini, apa yang kami pelajari dan apa yang kami temukan lebih besar daripada diri kami sendiri. Kita berusaha agar semua proses belajar itu berguna untuk mahasiswa. Dan kami sekreatif mungkin untuk menyikapi perubahan baik di tingkat lokal, nasional, dan internasional, dan semuanya kami akan transfer ke seluruh mahasiswa yang ada di sini.
passion saya. Ketika mengajar, saya merasa lebih hidup dan bersemangat. Semangat untuk berbagi ilmu, pengetahuan, dan pengalaman. Saya ingin membuka wawasan mahasiswa dengan cakrawala yang lebih luas, kelak untuk kehidupan mereka.
Sebuah pertanyaan yang sulit ketika kita ditanya saya mau jadi apa harapan saya ke depan. Tapi setelah berproses di sini, di kampus ini, kuliah, berorganisasi, kemudian berinteraksi dengan teman-teman, Bapak Ibu dosen, saya jadi mempunyai bayangan akan saya bawa kemana masa depan saya nanti. Dan untuk menjawab pertanyaan yang tadi, jadi tidak terasa begitu sulit.
Ketika saya mengajar, yang saya harapkan dari mahasiswa adalah mereka memiliki rasa keingintahuan yang tinggi tentang ilmu yang mereka pelajari. Sehingga saya selalu memotivasi mahasiswa agar terus mencari dan bertanya, yang merupakan hal yang sangat penting dalam proses belajar.
Kuliah di UMP memberikan pengalaman yang tidak pernah saya bayangkan sebelumnya.
Sejak didirikan tahun 1964 atau 51 tahun yang lalu, para pandai-pandai UMP telah bersemangat untuk menciptakan wahana keilmuan dan akhlakul karimah. Alhamdulillah, ini UMP telah bisa berkembang dengan dinamis, baik dari segi fasilitas, prodi maupun jumlah mahasiswa, sehingga ini menjadi sarana yang cukup bagus untuk menciptakan generasi muda yang lebih baik lagi. Dan saya merasa bangga masuk dan menjadi bagian dari kampus ini.
Kuliah di Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo menawarkan biaya hidup dan biaya kuliah yang jauh lebih terjangkau. Namun saya kira soal kualitas kita tidak perlu menunduk bila diperbandingkan dengan universitas-universitas lain di Indonesia.
Now I'm gonna start this event. Excellencies, honorable invited guests, distinguished speakers, respected presenters, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you. Good morning to you all, the participant and speaker and keynote speaker, and a very warm welcome to ICETeLL International Conference on English Teaching, Linguistics, and Literature, the 3rd October 2023, Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo. This conference is proudly organized by English Education Department of Teacher Training and Education Faculty, Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank each one of you for participating and to be present in this conference. I'm Enda, and I'll be your master of ceremony in this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, the ICETeLL aims to bring researchers, students, teachers from many countries to share their experience in various fields on teaching, linguistics, and literature. It serves a platform for educators, students, teachers, and researchers to present and discuss the most development innovation, practical challenges or issues, and solutions in teaching. Therefore, the theme of the conference today is World Englishes, Current Trends and Future Direction. This conference presents the prominent keynote speakers from many countries, Russia, Taiwan, Malaysia, and Indonesia, who will share their knowledge, insight, and experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, our agenda today: opening, welcoming speech, parallel session from keynote speakers, plenary session, and closing. To begin, we would like to acknowledge our honorary patron for this conference, the Honorable Rector Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo, Associate Professor Dr. Teguh Wibowo, the Dean Faculty of Training, Teacher, and Education, Dr. Yuli Widiono, Vice Rector for Academic Affairs, Associate Professor Dr. Dwi Irawati, Vice Rector for Cooperation Affairs and Al-Islam and Kemuhammadiyahan, Associate Professor Dr. Tusino, the Head of English Study Program, Mr. Sriwidodo SSM Hum, and Dr. Puspa Dewi as the chairperson of this conference. Respected guests, before commence, let's listening to the Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Thank you for the operator. Moving on, it gives me immense pleasure to invite Dr. Puspa Dewi as a chairperson to deliver her welcome address. Dr. Puspa Dewi, the screen is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. the Honorable Rector of Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo, Associate Professor Dr. Teguh Wibowo, Vice Rector for Academic Affairs, Associate Professor Dr. Dwi Irawati, Vice Rector for Cooperation Affairs, Associate Professor Dr. Tusino, Dean of Teacher Training and Educational Faculty, Head of English Study Program, and all faculty members of Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo, distinguished keynote speakers, participants, and the committee of the conference. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the organizing committee, I'd like to say welcome to the first International Conference on English Teaching and Linguistics and Literature, or ICETeLL 2023, under the theme World English, Current Trends and Future Directions, with sub-themes English, language teaching, linguistics and literature, English for specific purposes, culture in English teaching, translation in ELT, curriculum and material development, artificial intelligence in ELT, and other related topics in language teaching. These best practices must be disseminated in an impactful conference to spread the positive spirit and to broaden our insight. Ladies and gentlemen, more than 1.3 billion people speak English, whether it is their first, second, or foreign language. However, not everyone's English is the same. As the use of English around the world grows, so do the variations. World English as a lingua franca is used in business, trade, diplomacy, education, and other spheres of global activity, while World English is used to refer the different varieties of English developed in different regions in the world. The future of World English can be considered from three perspectives. They are multilingualism, multiculturalism, and linguistic human rights. This conference hopefully become a bridge for the scholars, researchers, as well as educators concerning the ongoing relevance of the World English's perspectives to applied linguistics and language pedagogy. Ladies and gentlemen, we send our deepest gratitude to the honorable keynote speakers, Professor Yingwei Chen from Asia University, Taiwan, Associate Professor Tengku Intan Susila Tengku Syarif from University Teknologi Mara Pahang, Malaysia, Professor Didi Sukyadi MA from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Professor Svetlana Androsova from Amur State University, Russia, and Associate Professor Dr. Titi Rohayati from Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo, who are willing and pleased to join and share the latest research inspiration in the field of World English in general. In addition, we noted that there are 60 papers will be presented in parallel sessions. The participating authors are from various countries, such as Malaysia, Russia, and Indonesia, with various backgrounds, such as lecturers, teachers, researchers, undergraduate students, and graduate students. Lastly, we would like to thank to the organizing committee who gave their best thought and contribution in organizing the first international conference on English teaching, linguistics, and literature 2023. To all participants, we wish you a happy conference and hopefully you will get a tremendous experience from this conference. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right, thank you for Dr. Puspa Dewi. And now I'd like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Teguh Wibowo, Rector Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo, to deliver his opening speech. Associate Professor Dr. Teguh Wibowo, the screen is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable, the keynote speaker, the Vice Rector, Dean, and all faculty members of Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo, the Honorable, the participant, and the committee of the conference, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, let's thank to Allah, the Almighty God, who has given us blessing and mercy so that we can virtually assemble here in the international conference on English teaching, linguistics, and literature 2023 with the theme of World Englishes, Current Trend, and Future Direction. Ladies and gentlemen, in this opportunity, I would like to say welcome to Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo and also express my sincere gratitude to everyone who has joined our conference either as speaker or as participant, especially to the keynote speaker, Professor Svetlana Andrusova from Amur State University, Russia, Professor Yonghei Chen from Asia University, Taiwan, Associate Professor Tengku Intan Susila, Tengku Sarif from University Teknologi Marapahang, Malaysia, Professor Didi Sukyadi from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, and Dr. Titi Rohayati from Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo to share their value ideas and experience as great scholar. Ladies and gentlemen, word Englishes refer to the different in the English language. It is used in various contexts across the world. Scholars of word Englishes identify the varieties of English use in different contexts, analyzing the history, background, function, and influence. In the field of education, students are allowed to perceive English with a different view. English teachers need to know how their student attitude toward English and non-native English are influenced by familiarity with the varieties of English use worldwide. Therefore, I believe that this conference will give a lot contribution to the effort of enhancing our conditional practice. In this opportunity, I also want to give my deepest appreciation to the committee and the conference partner who have worked hard to organize this program. I hope that the experience of organizing this conference will become valuable knowledge for your life. Ladies and gentlemen, English Education UMB is an established department which has conducted mutual partnership and collaboration with many foreign partners for quality improvement. Therefore, we welcome other parties to collaborate with us as national or international linkages for conducting student of or staff mobility, joint research and publication, and also joint seminar or conferences. Finally, to the keynote speaker and all participants, I would like to express my apology if there is any inconvenience during this conference. On behalf of Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo, I wish you an inspiring and fruitful conference. Ladies and gentlemen, by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, the International Conference on English Teaching, Linguistics, and Literature 2023 is officially open. Have a nice conference and thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for Associate Professor Dr. Teguh Wibowo for the opening speech. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we shall move on to the first session with the remarkable keynote speakers. Our session today will be moderated by Ms. Zulia Hassana. So I want to read her brief introduction about Ms. Zulia Hassana. Her name is Zulia Hassana, SSMPD. She is a lecturer in undergraduate program English Language Education, Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo. And for educational background, bachelor's degree, she's graduate from Diponegoro University with the major is Linguistics. And for the master degree, she's graduate from Universitas Semarang with the major Linguistic Education. So, Miss Julia Hasanah, are you here? I haven't seen you.
I am.
Yes, all right. So for Miss Julia Hasanah, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Miss Endah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The honorable keynote speakers, our distinguished presenters, and all participants. My name is Julia Hasanah. I am the moderator of International Conference on English Teaching, Linguistics, and Literature 2023, with English's current trends and future direction. Our first speaker is Professor Dr. Yinghui Chen from Asia University, Taiwan. Are you here, Professor Chen? Okay, Professor Yinghui Chen is the chair professor. Okay. Professor Yinghui Chen is a chair professor in language and literature at Asia University, Taiwan, and dean of the International College as well as dean of the College of Humanities and Social Science. He was the former president of Taiwan ESP, English for Specific Purposes Association, and served as special ESP IS chair of 2013. Dr. Chen obtained his doctoral degree in English literature at University of Maryland, College Park in February 1991. With the support of a Fulbright scholarship and a full grant from National Science Council, Taiwan. Aside from his teaching, Dr. Chen has served as chair and dean at 5 universities. He is also a material writer and has published many books such as The Joy of Literature and English for Hospitality and Tourism. Okay, the material by Professor Chen is entitled EMI in Higher Education in the Context of Taiwan Becoming a Bilingual Nation in 2030. Okay, please welcome Professor Dr. Yinghui Chen. The screen is yours.
Okay, Shalom. Okay, thank you very much for the kind introduction. And I have to thank the committee for sending me the invitation as one of the plenary speakers. And also my apology for changing the time slot. Actually, I'm supposed to be the second speaker, but because of time conflict with my speech at Diponegoro University, so I moved to the first speaker. Okay, let me get started with my topic. I'm going to talk about EMI in higher education, okay? EMI in higher education in the context of Taiwan becoming a bilingual nation by the year 2030. I think in higher education, many universities across the world, not just in Taiwan, are doing EMI, English medium instruction. In other words, all the courses are supposed to be taught, delivered in English, okay? And in Taiwan, more and more universities are doing this. At Asia University, for example, MI University, we have at least 30 different programs, you know, both bachelor, master, and PhD are taught in English because the majority of our international students, they simply cannot sit in a Chinese taught classroom, okay? So this is the topic of my talk. So I just want to give you some idea about Taiwan becoming a bilingual nation. There's some agenda. Actually, the policy was announced in the year 2017 that Taiwan will become a bilingual country in the year 2030. In other words, we have about like 6 or 7 years to go, and we'll see whether Taiwan will become a bilingual country or not. And because of this government policy, Minister of Education in Taiwan proposed EMI English as a medium instruction for institutions in higher education in Taiwan to make universities more competitive globally. And the purpose is to attract talents from all over the world. Hence, the recruitment, the enrollment of foreign students as a solution to the increasing shortage of students in Taiwan. Also, EMI is considered, as a good important indicator of the nation's competitiveness in the world. So I think this is the goal and the purpose. And actually, very two important objectives of this bilingual policy is boosting national competitiveness by helping Taiwan's workforce connect with the world. Okay, it's more or less like cultivation of talents in terms of the English language. The second one is attracting international enterprises to Taiwan, enabling Taiwanese industry to connect to the global markets and create high-quality jobs. Okay, so this, I think, are the two main purposes. In other words, raising the general ability of the English language of the nationals, and then to make enterprise more competitive globally. And I think I just give you some idea about, English. Actually, English is very much a hybrid, is very much a hybrid language. You can see, actually, English come from the old English, the Germanic, is only 26%. Actually, 29 more than the original, Germanic language, 29 come from French. Another 29 come from Latin, okay? And then some come from Greek, some from other language, some from names like sandwiches, for example, like Levis, for example. So very much English is a hybrid language. So I point this out because, for example, in Indonesia, you are criticized by people telling you are speaking Indonesian English. There's nothing wrong with speaking Indonesian language. In Taiwan, I'm speaking Taiwanese English because English itself has mixed with different kind of languages, okay? So we are talking about the so-called standard. Perhaps the notion of standard should, be removed. We are no longer talking about whose standard of English you're speaking, okay? And this is the hybrid. And actually, I also want to deal with the perception of English, how we perceive of the English language. In the past, I just quote, this is from Shakespeare, The Tempest, okay? Caliban, the native of the island, okay, speaking to the Duke from Italy, from Milan, saying, you told me language, okay? The master told the servant language, and my profit of it is I know how to curse, okay, how to curse. So in the past, if we are the people in the colonized, we learn the language of the master. And why we learn the language of the master? In order to use the language to curse, to fight back the master. That's very much, the notion of the English language in the past. In other words, it has a lot to do with, hierarchy, social status, and power relationship, okay? This is from Shakespeare. And this is the perception of English today. Who owns English? This is the question I keep asking, a lot of people. Who owns the language? The American people, the British, the Australian, or the Indonesian, or Taiwanese? Who owns? Actually, when English has become a lingua franca, ELF, okay? In other words, it has become the world's most common language of problem solving, and also English represents hope for a better life. When it has become an ELF who owns English is something for us to consider, okay? Perhaps nobody owns English. By saying this, we can also argue everybody shares, or everybody owns a certain share of the English language. Okay, so we have several different terms: English as a lingua franca, or English as a second language, or English as a foreign language. I think in Indonesia and in Taiwan too, English is still a foreign language. That is the status. But we are trying to move from a foreign language to a second language. And I think I just quote one of the very well-known scholars, Jennifer Jenkins, when she, present this speech. I happen to be the audience myself. He talked about English as a lingua franca, challenging the standard. And I just mentioned, the notion of the standard, the notion of a native speaker is questionable. Okay, in Taiwan, when we want to hire an English teacher, we put an advertisement. We could never say we are going to hire a native speaker of English. That will put us in a very difficult situation, because who is the native speaker of English? That's questionable. Okay, so again, who owns English? Who are English native speakers? This is something for us to consider. Okay, and I think in her presentation, she explores the global challenges presented by ELF, English as a lingua franca, and their implication for policies and practice of the English language. So she was arguing having an ELF approach involves to developing accommodation skill even when they result in non-standard forms. In other words, all kind of English are acceptable. That is the reason why the theme of this conference is called World Englishes. Don't forget, you put plural. That's right. Not World English, but World Englishes, because they are different varieties of the English language. And then here, familiarizing learners with a wide range of Englishes. I can give you one example. Here on my campus at Asia University in Taiwan, we have about 600 international students. Of course, the majority come from Indonesia. Another majority come from India. And all the professors on my campus keep teasing me. The only professor on the campus who can understand Indian English could be just me, showing that when the Indian student on my campus speak English, they speak with very strong, Indian accent. Okay, this just gives you some idea that when English become a lingua franca, it consists of all kind of, or all ranges of Englishes. So I think by saying this, we need to be aware that English is only international to the extent that it is not native English speakers' language. Okay, actually other people own the language. So I think this is encouraging news to people who don't speak English as the first language. Okay, and I think this is pretty old material. It's published in 2005. An article from Newsweek. In the article, it argues people today no longer speak the Queen's English. Okay, of course, if we put into that context, it should be the King's English. Okay, King Charles. And the status, the non-native English speakers now outnumber native ones 3-1. I think today is even the majority is even higher. Okay, and it's changing the way we communicate. And this is from another important magazine, The Economist, called the triumph of English, a world empire by other means. So English has become an empire. Okay, thinking about English use in business, in industries, in science, in technology, in entertainment, in communication, etc. So it has become a world empire. Okay, so because of this, in Europe, they are actually they started to do this more than 20 years ago, called World Englishes. Okay, World Englishes. Later on, I'm going to talk about the project in Europe. Okay, so one concept is, as English shift from foreign language to second language status, okay, then English developed a larger number of local varieties. So it's a result of the so-called globalization, globalization and localization is a combination. Okay, so just give you some idea about, the notion of the so-called standard English, the notion of world Englishes, words English with all different types of varieties. But I think from the very beginning, English itself is a hybrid language. So English can easily mix with all different kind of languages. Okay, so I think when we talk about world Englishes, some tensions arise, especially in teaching English in the classroom, because English has two main functions. One is to provide the vehicular language, in other words, as a tool, as a vehicle for international communication. Okay, this is one. Okay, the other is when we speak the language, it also forms the basis for constructing cultural identity. So I think this has been always a conflict, a tension between these two. You speak English, how could you identify yourself? In other words, what could be your cultural identity? An Indonesian scholar speak English, a very good English. Can he call himself an Indonesian or just an English? This is quite a thorny issue for many scholars. Okay, and because English will become a tool for international communication, so actually we would argue what is good English so long as it's intelligible. So mutual intelligibility is the so-called the standard of the English you speak. Okay, whether it's intelligible or not. In other words, whether your English can be understood or not. And in order to come up with a certain loose and common standard, in Europe they developed the so-called CEFR, Common European Framework of Reference for the English language. Later on, I'm also going to say a few words about CFR. Okay, so I think when English become world Englishes, ELF, then what are the implications in English teaching? English in its new global form, okay, this is the so-called world Englishes. And then we are moving toward the end of English as a foreign language. So I realized in Taiwan, in Vietnam, in Japan, in Korea, and Indonesia too, almost each country is striving to make English as the so-called bilingual, as a second language, to make the country as a bilingual country. Okay, and I just use some number. I think this number has been used a few years ago, so could not be that accurate today. In other words, today we have at least 67 nations, having English as the primary language or official status. Okay, and 27 countries where English is spoken as a second official language. So we have altogether like more than 94 or 95, okay, not counting country like the United States, like the UK, like Australia, like New Zealand. Okay, so actually more and more countries in the world are trying to adopt English either as a semi-official language or as a second language. Singapore is a good example. Hong Kong is another example. Okay, so I think the implication in English language teaching is lowering the age of English learner to primary level. Okay, in Indonesia, in Taiwan too, English is extended to primary education. Okay, we are learning English from year 1 of the elementary school. And then for the universities, more and more universities are doing EMI, okay, English medium instruction. These are the two important implications when English has become, a common language. And I think I just mentioned 2 books by David Gradle, okay, linguists, quite well known, okay. He wrote 2 books One is called The Future of English. Okay. And here he has a subtitle, A Guide to Forecasting the Popularity of the English Language in the 21st Century. In the book, published in 1997, he made a prediction. He was arguing in the book, in the future, who will decide, the development of the English language? One is the Indian people. One is the Chinese. Okay. I think if he rewrite the book today, he would say the third would be the Indonesian. Okay. Because when you think about the speaking population, okay, just give you one example. Okay. When we greet a person, we will say, hello, how are you today? But if you are in China, you will not say, how are you today? You will say, have you eaten? Okay, in Mandarin Chinese, 吃饱了没? Have you eaten? Not because the people who greet you care about whether you're hungry or not, but that's the common expression of the Chinese language when they greet a certain person. So eventually, have you eaten? If we have enough population speaking this as English, perhaps it will become the so-called standard acceptable English in the near future. Okay, the second book is English Next. And here is a subtitle, Why Global English May Mean the End of English as a Foreign Language. I think it's important warning to us as a language teacher. In other words, very soon we will come to realize English is no longer a foreign language. English is a second language, or English is a semi-official language. What is the difference between English as a foreign language and English as a second language? I think in classroom, we tend to, when English is regarded as a foreign language, we tend to teach English as a subject. Okay, we teach reading, grammar, writing, a lot of things. But when English become a second language, we don't teach students to learn English. We teach students to use English. Okay, so the difference is from learn to use. So don't teach your student to learn English. Teach your student to use the English language. That could be the big difference. Okay, and I think another perception of the English language is English a tool or is English a subject? Okay, this is something for us to think about. Okay, many scholars would argue English is nothing but a tool. But people like me, I study English literature. Okay, I major in English literature. I'm a PhD in English literature. To me, English, like a professor of physics, like a professor of chemistry. To me, English is a discipline, it's a subject, it's part of humanities. Okay, so it's not just a tool. So bear in mind whether English is a subject or English is a tool. This is something for us to consider. Okay, and because we are talking about bilingual and EMI, so I think I just try to give you some idea about bilingual by giving several different definition. Okay, bilingualism, I would argue each of us is bilingual or could be multilingual. You speak English, you speak Bahasa Indonesia, you might speak Javanese. It's already multilingual or bilingual. So everybody is bilingual. So when we say bilingual, actually we refer to speaking and understanding two or more languages. And the term can refer to individuals, okay? Or it can refer to an entire society, okay? So we have social bilingualism, we have individual bilingualism, okay? And this is defined by a professor of emeritus at Georgia Southern University. He says bilingualism refers to the ability of an individual or the number of a community to use two languages effectively. The key word is effectively. I just quote some number for you to better understand. Like 56% of Europeans are bilingual, 38 in England are bilingual, 35 in Canada, 72 in the United States. Okay, I don't know how much in Indonesia, could be like 80% bilingual when it refers to two languages. And here some definition of bilingual, okay, by the dictionary of Merriam-Webster: the ability to speak two languages, the frequent use of two languages, the political institutional recognition of two languages. Okay, so the bilingual, several other definitions of bilingual, but all refer to the use of two languages in a very efficient manner. Okay, and EMI, I think, because one of my focus is EMI in higher education, EMI actually refer to English medium instruction. The key point is we teach in English, we don't teach English. So EMI is not teaching English. EMI is teach in English. In other words, use English as the primary medium of instruction. Of course, this development has a lot to do with the British Empire, with the expansion of the empire, also with the status of the superpower of the United States in the 20th and 21st century. Okay, so just give you some idea the spread of EMI globally. Okay, and it has become a medium instruction in many universities, especially in Europe and in some part of Asia too. Okay, and I think the second point is a number of studies found that social sciences and natural science are the most represented discipline with EMI teachers in higher education. In other words, if you happen to be a teacher of social sciences or natural sciences, you should feel comfortable using EMI for delivery. But my question and reservation is, can EMI deal with humanities, such as history, such as philosophy? In other words, is there the limitation of EMI practice? Okay, and I think the World English Project referred to the European project. Okay, this is the traditional, paradigm in Europe. They start to learn English like in Taiwan, like in Indonesia, when students enter the junior high school, and they think it's not enough if they want to enter the university, because if you want to go to university, you need to have C1 level, but by that time you're already 20 years old. So they lower the age of learning from 12 to 6. So this is what they are doing in Europe, not just in Asia, not just in Taiwan, not just in Indonesia. So kids of 6 years old begin to pick up the English language. Okay, this is the new orthodox. So to measure whether a student reach a certain level, so they create a so-called CEFR, the Common European Framework of Reference for Language Learning, Teaching, and Assessment. And I'm pretty sure all the English teachers should know what CFR stands for. Thinking CFR as the US currency, all the other currencies need to revert back to US currency. Okay, and they have 6 levels from A1, A2, B1, B2 to C1, C2. Of course, in some countries, like in Japan, they think 6 levels are not enough. So they have tried to expand the 6 level into 12 levels. Okay, I don't know the situation in Indonesia, but all the language tests go back to the so-called CFR. Okay, and CFR, what is famous about CFR is the can-do statement. Okay, I think as language teacher, you all know can-do statement. In other words, if you are A1 level, what you can do in listening, what you can do in writing is very clearly stated in the CFR framework. Okay. And so I think I'm coming to the end of my presentation, because EMI, this has been very much in my thinking. Is EMI a language policy proposed by the university or proposed by the Minister of Education, or is EMI a language pedagogy? In other words, a teaching approach, or could it be both? This is something for you to think about. Okay. And also, don't forget, English has its discontent. In other words, not many people are happy learning English. Not many people are happy teaching in English. Okay, so in a university setting, we have to consider, is EMI a top-down policy or bottom-up initiative? If it's a bottom-up initiative, I think more and more teachers will be more happy using EMI. But if it's a top-down policy, then we might be able to sense some discontent on the part of the teachers. So top-down or bottom-up, it depends. At my university, at Asia University, because it's a private university, because we have a very strong action leader and think and thought leader, okay, a very strong leader. So at Asia University, it's more like a top-down policy, not a bottom-up initiative, okay? So why EMI? If you think about in education contexts, okay, it might refer to English as a lingua franca, or it might refer to like the situation in Taiwan. Because of the shortage of students, we need to create EMI program to, recruit international students. Or you might take EMI as part of university globalization or university internationalization. But if you read EMI in the industry context, you have to think about global supply chain. Okay, you have to think about multinational company. You have to think about the new technology. You have to think about the digital era. Actually, 1 hour later, I'm going to give a keynote speech to ONDIP conference talking about humanities and social science in the age of digital era. Okay, actually, we are living in the digital era. Okay. So I just show you some best practice at Asia University, our summer program, our semester exchange program, our degree program, our dual degree program, our EMI workshop. I will just go through this very quickly. These are some best practice at Asia University. We offer summer program in English. Okay, we have different types of program taught in English. Okay, to double degree student, for outbound, inbound, for degree program. Okay, we also have one college of management as the so-called EMI college. Okay, and these are the workshop. We have been doing workshop for more than actually a decade, and these are some statistics from the year 2010 to 2014. Okay, 2015 to 21. Okay, and these are the workshop, EMI workshop. We have done this at least once every semester. We invite scholars all over the world to come over to Asia University to empower our teachers how to use English as a medium instruction. Okay, we also work with several universities like University of Sydney, Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, some other university in Europe and in the United States for this purpose. Okay, we have CLIP. Okay, also CLIP, workshop. This is from University of Queensland. Okay, this is my conclusion. I think I use the hour. Okay, hour is the symbol of wisdom. Okay, you see, the painter actually was a very famous painter in China. But when he released this painting, when he got the painting, published, unfortunately, he was put in jail because people in Common China thought this painter was very critical, was very sarcastic, trying to say, the Communist China, some officials, they simply close their eyes. They are not open to the reality. So I use this just to let you know it's a symbol of wisdom. And now English has become a lingua franca. English has become world Englishes. Whether you want to keep your eye open to the reality or you want to just bury your head in the sand, okay, it's up to you. This could be my conclusion. Okay, thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Professor Chen, for some knowledge of bilingual in Taiwan. And we have already two questions for you to answer. Are you ready to answer the question, Professor Chen? Professor Chen, can you hear me? Professor, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. And the question is, with more than 90 word Englishes, all have peculiarity formed by mother tongues. How tolerant can we be with these peculiarities to provide mutual understanding, and how to tolerate to students' error and mistakes in communication?
I think once English has become a lingua franca, it has become a language for international communication. When we communicate, of course, we bring in different cultures for communication. So out of this interaction, out of this engagement, we will develop the so-called cross cultural understanding. By developing cross cultural understanding, we will show more respect to other cultures. We will develop the so-called power of empathy to put ourselves in the shoes of other people. This would be my brief answer.
Yeah. How about tolerance to students' error and mistakes in communication?
The what? Correct the errors and okay. I think when you think about English, it's a language for you to use, not for you to learn. Then I think you will change your mindset. I used to teach, writing. I just give you my writing class as a good example. I also, as an administrator, supervise, writing class. Some writing teachers, they are very strict in correcting students' writing, especially their spelling, their grammar. So because it's time consuming, the whole semester, they might just tend to like produce 4 or 5 short articles. Whereas when I teach writing, I ask my student to write a short paragraph, more or less like a diary, once a day. So in a week, they can at least produce 5 short articles. So after one semester, I can collect more than 100 short articles. Whereas the teacher who focus on students, grammar, spelling, they might be able to produce 5 or 6. So I told my colleagues, we could ask the student to take a test to see who performs better. Me, without caring too much about students, grammatical mistakes, spelling mistakes, but they keep writing. Okay, so I think this is just a change of attitude. In other words, I embrace the philosophy. You become a good writer by writing itself. This could be implied to all types of teaching.
Okay, thank you very much for your elaborated answer, Professor Chen. As I can see here, I can conclude here, English is now as a medium of instruction. Language is not only to use, language is not only to learn, but it is to use. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Chen. And
okay.
We do hope that we can do collaboration again in the next future.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the moderation. Yeah. It's very fortunate I do not overuse the time. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now we go to our second speaker, which is the Associate Professor Dr. Tengku Indrasivila Tengku Syarif from UITM, Malaysia. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Professor Dr. Tengku.
Yes, I'm here.
Indrasivila, okay. Professor Dr. Tengku Indrasivila Tengku Syarif is an Associate Professor at the Academy of Language Studies, University Teknologi Paracawangan, Pahang, Malaysia. She got PhD from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Her PhD is in the area of grammar studies. Her research areas cover the area of technology in education, ESL and EFL, and the endangered languages. She has published many articles in the reputable journals. Okay, now we welcome Dr. Tengku Intan Suzila to give your speech for about 20 minutes and then question and answer for 10 minutes.
All right.
The time is yours.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. Assalamualaikum. A very good morning to all. Thank you for the invite, Associate Professor Dr. Tusino and Dr. Teguh especially. I am Intan from UITM Pahang, as the Madam Moderator mentioned earlier. So today I would like to talk on the soul, right, in English language teaching. So we will look at what do I mean by soul here. Okay. So this is what I would like to achieve, in this presentation. Okay. Okay, let me go back to that. Okay, I'm trying to move this actually because it's blocking my view. All right. So these are the goals that I wish to achieve today. Yeah, basically, it's just to spark conversation and maybe, create thoughts to where we need to revisit, in terms of teaching English and linguistic or literature. Okay. All right. So soul to me here actually refers to the idea of imparting knowledge, beyond language skills, So while we are teaching languages in class, what I would like to call everybody to also look into the idea of helping students to boost their smart skills, sharp skills, the ability to become observant and receptive, and also learn to somehow use AI in language teaching. And so in the end, it would bring all students to a much more control of their learning, which is learner's anatomy. Okay. I believe this should be the future of English language teaching, because with the demands of being able to climb corporate ladders or any kind of position that you wish to be in a workforce, or even securing jobs these days, because in Malaysia the issue of securing a job is very sensitive these days. It's very difficult to get jobs here in Malaysia, especially if it's a top paying positions. So I think along the way, while we are rushing through the idea of getting jobs and climbing corporate ladders, we also need to boost or help students to build and grow in terms of their soul itself. As teachers and lecturers, we need to nourish this. Okay, so how can we do that actually? So that's the main thing that I would like to bring everybody to discuss here actually. Okay. So what is smart skills actually? Okay, so there are actually how many here? 11, I think, right? So people don't talk about soft skills and hard skills anymore because some researchers believe that it's lack of the genuine essence, in education, lack of some says it lacks humanities and things like that. All right, so we are moving towards building students in terms of having smart skills and sharp skills. All right, so let's see how we can actually do this in language classes and also do this with AIs. All right. All right. Okay, sorry. Okay, my mouse is not working with me today. Okay, all right. When we look at the first, second, and the ninth, item under smart skills, right? How do we transfer this? Help students to grow in our language classes. Is usually we are already doing it. I'm not saying that we are not doing it. We are already doing it in our classes. It's just that we might need to take it up notch a little bit, bring it to a higher level a little bit. Okay, so we usually do it by asking our students to write compare and contrast essays, or explain things in classes, encouraging them to speak, asking them to evaluate ideas, opinions, or understanding the perspective of others, and ask them to predict futures and therefore create creative solutions, right? So traditionally, we also have the idea of using Socratic methods. Yeah, I hope all have heard about this before. Yes, it's a very traditional method in English classrooms. Yeah, so Socratic questionings would also, as I listed in the slide here, these are the list of questions. So this is what we traditionally do in class, okay? So actually it's all about encouraging students to brainstorm for ideas, and usually brainstorming starts with asking questions, right? Probing questions. So what if all these questions that we've been asking students to create in order to spark ideas, yeah, why not today, starting from today, yeah, if you have not started, why not all these questions are transferred into ChatGPT? Okay, I know majority are opposing the idea of using AI in classroom, yeah, especially the moment they hear ChatGPT, everybody will like throw their hands and say, oh, no, we are not going to dwell into this, okay? But personally, I feel that using AI, we cannot run away from it, okay? In terms of technology, we cannot run away from it. In fact, okay, but I do believe that we need to have the basic knowledge, the basic idea of language first, yeah, before we can always move to using AIs in classrooms. But to my surprise, and I guess to many lecturers as well, that students are actually much more advanced than us, yeah. So why not we just bring this in classrooms? Yeah, UITM has already approved the idea of using AIs in classroom. I think since a year ago, we all got official letters where we are to use AIs in classrooms. Okay, so coming back to the questions that you ask students to you know induce with, yeah, so that you can induce ideas, yeah, so that why not these questions you post it and turn it into prompt questions in ChatGPTs or Perplexity's AIs, yeah. So the responses of ChatGPT actually can further, you know, initiate, can further induce critical questionings actually. Okay, if you have tried it in classrooms, then you will be on the same page with me and understand what I'm talking about here. All right, so this critical questioning in ChatGPT actually will encourage students to read more, understand more, all right? But as a lecturer, we are to guide them. We are to set the parameters and actually guide them how to use it. How do we go about guiding? Not all the information that you get from ChatGPT are actually valid. So you have to teach your students to constantly seek validation from various sources, yeah, and this needs to be of an assurance lah. Okay, all right. As lecturers, we are to guide, to investigate, help the students to continue investigating and actively share questions and actively ask more questions. Yeah, even in English, we do have this notion of self-generated questioning, okay, because this questioning would actually build our curiosity, and this is one of the language learning strategies that we use while we teach reading in English classrooms, right, and literature especially. Yeah, self-generated questioning is very important when we learn literature. So having ChatGPT actually simplifies matters, yeah, but you are to still embed all the traditional tools that we already have in English classrooms, okay? All right, so the third skills under smart skills that we need to impart to students is communication skills. Now, communication skills stands by itself, yeah? But if you were to use ChatGPT in isolation, yeah, this is where our job as lecturers and teachers are still very much secure in the English classrooms actually, okay? Because using ChatGPT in isolation is, to me, you know, it should not happen just yet, all right? It has to start with guidance first, okay? Because students will be lacking of social skills if ChatGPT is used in isolation, all right? If they are advanced students, then they can use it in isolation. But before that, if you're teaching lower level students, you have to use it in class first, help them to use ChatGPT in classrooms first. Yeah, learn all the language skills from reading the answers, and you have to also teach them how to ask the right questions. And questions needs to be tactful so that they will also learn to respect and be kind in communication. Yeah, if students just bluntly or, you know, ask rude questions in ChatGPT, then they would not learn how to be civil among society, right? So as a lecturer, I think our job it becomes much more bigger here, because we are to also help them in become civil people, right? Okay. So yeah, I think as the world progress, yeah, civility is something that could be rare in the future. I hope not. Okay, it's more than just being polite. Okay, but polite is the first step. All right, it's about being able to disagree without being disrespectful. Okay, it's about looking for common ground, yeah, as a starting point, and then for to have dialogues on differences, and it's about to listen to another person without having these preconceptions, and also teaching others to be civil in that sense. Yeah, so as teachers we need to actually guide our students to be asking the right questions in ChatGPT. All right, so if you say no to ChatGPT, then students would use it in isolation, and then we would end up with students who are not kind and not respectful. So I guess this is where lecturers, whether we like it or not, we have to guide students. We need to be we need to educate ourselves first to begin with, and then use it in class. However, okay, there are many AIs out there that claim to be able to create humanizing aspect, okay, in using AIs. All right. Okay, so we have ISO, AI SEO, that claims to be able to humanize text. So meaning whatever you have answers that you got from ChatGPT, you can just like copy and paste it in ISO, and ISO will make the answers become more human. Okay, meaning it makes it more human-like narratives. Yeah, it infuses emotion, personality, authenticity of text, and engaging for a much more genuine reading experience in that sense. So we also have humanized AI, yeah, which claim to also do those kind of functions. But I guess because AIs they are not like self-thinking machines, it relies on us to actually tell them what to do and what to actually look for and things like that. So as lecturers, we need to guide them, okay, so that in language classrooms, all these communication skills will still be taught well, right? So students will still be respectful and kind. Okay. All right. I think after this, okay, my slide is missing a page. Let me look at, okay. Okay. So creativity and innovation skills, yeah. Actually, ChatGPT can help us in role playing. Okay, in classroom, in English classroom, usually we ask students to role play. Okay, but with ChatGPT, we can always use it as a role playing tool too. Okay, so basically, if I were to do this presentation, I can actually go to ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT, okay, you are now a language lecturer with 25 years teaching experience and giving a talk on world Englishes, blah, blah, blah. So the moment I send in that prompt, okay, ChatGPT will come up with all the ideas of what I could say in this particular speech. All right. So, but the idea is that to my personal experience using ChatGPT are suitable for undergraduates. Yeah, for now. Okay, I think ChatGPT, the answers given by ChatGPT are suitable for undergraduates. Okay, not for lecturers to use as a teaching tool in classrooms just yet. Okay, because in terms of the thinking level, it doesn't reach that level of lecturers yet. Okay, I think the answers given in ChatGPT are answers suitable for undergraduates to use. Okay, so if any of you lecturers here wanting to give talks after this and use ChatGPT, okay, but you can only use it as a guide, but not to actually use the whole answer as your outline for your presentation, because it's not suitable. It doesn't reach that level of thinking just yet. Okay. But on the note that ChatGPT can do a role-playing tool here is actually when your students can actually ask, okay, ChatGPT to prompt this ChatGPT as like, okay, I am a 23-year-old student having to write an assignment for that. So answers will come out. Okay. Now there's another AI actually to come up with slides, Gamma. Have you used Gamma? Okay, if you use Gamma, same thing will happen. All the slides will be ready. But as I mentioned earlier, those slides are suitable for undergraduate presentations only. Okay, so if you are undergraduate students, then you want to use Gamma, and your presentations will be ready in a very short time. Yeah. Okay, but it will go back to a lot of other issues, but we'll talk about that. I know what is in your mind now, where you are worried about, about plagiarism and things like that. But what I'm trying to say here at this point is that it will create creativity, innovative skill, because it will spark more curiosity, more questions in your head, and you want to answer these questions, okay? And that would develop creativity, okay? I did once with my master students who wanted to develop an app for language speaking classes. Okay, so yeah, she managed to come up with a very good app, yeah, by asking ChatGPT on how to go about doing it. Okay. All right, so let's move to the next one. Okay, I think I have to go back because the slide has jumbled up a bit. Okay, if you look at into this next smart skills that we have to boost in language classes is actually emotional intelligence, adaptability, and flexibility. This is about having self-regulation. Okay, to your surprise, maybe, we have a very 2011 study actually. Okay, if you're familiar with this memory, cognitive, compensation, metacognitive, affective, and social, these are all strategies under language learning strategies. Okay, so if students are able to have this consciousness, meaning of self-regulating themselves, it will also boost their language skills actually. Okay, so having this self-regulation is very important. So it can actually boost your language learning skills as well. All right, so how do we go about embedding this into an AI classrooms? So as you see, number 7 here is about adaptability and flexibility. So if you are already using AI in classrooms, you are meaning you are already adaptive, you are already flexible, you are accepting, you are not dormant, you are not underdeveloped, you are already achieving this one of the smart skills that we have to develop in students these days. Okay, so being adaptive and flexible is very important. Okay, right, next is this one. Okay, under the smart skill of 8, 10, and 11, actually it can be combined together. Okay, there are a lot of AI tools that we can use in classrooms actually that will actually boost a lot of our ability to use language in classes. Right. I use Evernote in class. Of course, we are already all using Google Tasks, and we are using Google Workspace. All this can actually help in terms of leadership skills. The proof is with your moderator here, how she is tasked to manage time, right? Miss Zulia, and then how she is also to be able to show some leadership in telling, okay, Dr. Intan, your time is up, right? So that is already a leadership skills, okay? And her skills to manage time as well, all right? So if I listen to Miss Zulia, all right, I agree, time is up. So that is also building my collaboration skills, all right? So yes, using all this AI platform is very good as well. Okay, so the next skills that we have is sharp skills. Now, I'm not going to go in depth with this because at the end of the day, you will be good in these skills if you are good in your reading skills, right? So if you're good in reading English, okay, then you will develop these skills, okay? So I'm not going to go in detail. I have very limited time. What I want to look into is under the next one. So we have SO, S-O, how do you spell SO? S-O-U, all right? So we are looking into observations and receptive now. Okay. So in English skills, actually, we do have what we call receptive language, okay? So this is the skill where you use to understand what people is actually saying, following instruction, for example, and also answering questions accurately and appropriately. Okay, comprehension questions like who, what, when, why, how, those are also under receptive language. And being able to answer question accurately and appropriately. Appropriately means, being civil and being kind just now, but accurately also means that, if we were to ask correct questions to ChatGPT, then you will get correct answer. All right. So that is also a part of using receptive language. Now, being attention to detail, being observant is also an important skills under receptive language. Yeah, it will allow someone to actually assess through listening. Yeah, when you listen to talks, you assess what is being said, and then you interpret it, and then you express it using all sorts of expressive language, right? So all this is actually, receptive skills is actually listening and reading skills. Yeah, they are called passive skills, yeah, because it's visual, auditory, read and write, and also kinesthetic and all that. Now, yes, having receptive behavior is also very important today, right? Because well, if you look at the idea of being able to facilitate and inquire, all this is already partly being done, when you use AIs in classroom actually, because not only lecturers are to facilitate you yourself have to facilitate yourself while posing the right challenging questions. So I can imagine you using AI in classrooms and not talking about very basic lame things in classrooms anymore, like what I did during my last holiday, but rather you'll be talking about something that is much more advanced, because we have ChatGPT to help us induce all the ideas already. Okay. All right, so that is, I think, half of the receptive behavior, half of the receptive language that we need to actually learn is already done if we use ChatGPT in classrooms. Okay, so that brings to my next top idea is on using AIs in classroom. Okay, there are a lot of AIs to be used. Yeah, and new ones are coming. They are not necessarily all good, okay, but they are not all necessarily bad. All right, so as lecturers, we need to test it out first, then only bring it to classrooms. I know everybody is familiar with Quillboard. Yeah, we are also familiar with Terry-In, Jasper, Jenny, and all that. Yeah, we've used a lot of it. Okay, but how do we answer the questions that all lecturers are having in their mind in terms of plagiarism? Okay, now, does AI actually induce laziness? Okay, does it induce laziness? Does it encourage plagiarism? Does it encourage you to cheat? Okay, in reality, when I use it in my classrooms, I think students are actually scared. Okay, we also done a survey. Yeah, I have a research grant on this with Universitas Negeri Malang, Professor Dr. Utami. Yeah, we found that students are actually scared to cheat. Yeah, Indonesian, Malaysian students, they are actually scared because they know that lecturers are way much advanced than them. They know that lecturers are also familiar with other plagiarism checker. So we find that students don't actually cheat as we thought that they would be. So this is where guidance from the lecturers is actually very important. Okay, AIs are here to stay. I can assure you that. This is just like all the working women out there. We use rice cooker these days, isn't it? Not that we don't know how to cook rice on stove, gas stove, but cooking rice using rice cooker is a lot quicker and easier. We can just leave it. All right, so that is how AI in classrooms, it's here to stay. Using AI in classroom is a lot easier. All right, but we also need to know how to the traditional method, and as lecturers we also need to guide them. I'm repeating the word guide all the time here. Okay, so although when we use this Socratic dialogues in ChatGPT, it will spark new thoughts and a lot more. All right, I think it doesn't develop laziness, but rather it would develop curiosity and excitement. So they will use more. All right, so because these days, if you go back to smart and sharp skills, we cannot expect students to memorize, and memorizations usually come from drilling, like grammar drilling. Okay, so I think we cannot do that anymore, because that would not encourage smart skills building. Okay, teaching grammar is a lot easier whenever you have things from ChatGPT, and then we show how grammar is used contextually correctly, rather than asking students to memorize. Okay, these are the form and function of grammar, tenses, for example. Okay, but I keep on mentioning just now, right, that whatever information that you get on ChatGPT, it has to be verified. Okay, all this information needs to be verified. So sometimes the facts are a little bit off, so you need to check it as well. And students, if you're using AIs for writing assignments or whatsoever, editing is very important. Okay, we have all sorts of AIs out there for light editing, but deeper editing, I think your lecturers will be using Original, which is I think much more secure than using Terrain. Okay, but we also have Hi My AIs, right? Where it claims that it can make it more human-like, and then also make it with less grammar mistakes and things like that. All right. All right. So as lecturers, I think we need to be advanced ourselves. We need to know all these AIs that can actually hide whatever students are doing. Yeah, but I think if in classrooms we are already respecting them, they would respect us as well by not cheating. Okay, if you look at this figure here, yeah, talking about AI immunities and pedagogical appropriateness, in UITM, what we are doing right now is that we don't ask students to come up with short essays outside of classrooms. Yeah, we ask students to write 30 minutes questions. If we were to ask questions that are informative level, if questions are of informative level, like write an essay on the compare and contrast about something, that will be a 30 minutes essay in classrooms. Okay, so it's not a take-home assignment. A take-home assignment in UITM will be deeper questioning. So like you have to critically make a commentary of 2 to 3 journal articles on this particular topic. Okay, so that is where we try to build assignments that are rather AI immune. Yeah, the immunity is high in terms of the questions that we ask for take-home text, take-home assignments, for example. And then if students are given assignments to prepare for presentations, for example, so at UITM, we don't actually ask informative presentation, not so much. Informative presentation is more in terms of developing student skills, and they do it in class. But for assessments, most of it are of persuasive presentations. Okay, where students have to apply like Monroe theory in presentations. So persuasive presentations. So we try to make our questions rather high in terms of pedagogical appropriateness, and high in terms of immunity towards AIs. Okay, so that's what we are constantly developing. Okay. All right. So
okay, thank you, Dr. Intan. We are running out of time.
Yeah. All right. So just a last note here. I think what I've mentioned just now, it will bring to learners autonomy, right? Because using ChatGPT is all about autonomy, and it will bring growth to all students. Okay. So that's all from me. Thank you so much. I will try to stop sharing so that I can read questions.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Intan. The presentation is about artificial intelligence in teaching and learning. There is one question for you, Dr. Intan, from Sweta. I think it is Professor Sweta. Yeah. Dear Professor, critical thinking techniques are truly encouraging. How often do you come across unexpected insights from students when you use critical thinking as your classes?
Okay. At UITM here, we have like our writing classes or whatsoever, right? So we always encourage students to use all sorts of tools. So in my class, yeah, I would bring ChatGPT and ask students to prompt questions, so they would come up with ChatGPT will offer a lot of outputs, right? So then we will go on asking questions again. So if they don't ask questions, I will ask questions. So usually they are scared of my questions. So they will ask questions, and then we will write the prompt in ChatGPT. We do it together in a class, so it will come up with lots of answers. Okay, to answer your question, how often do I come across unexpected insight? I think the more I use ChatGPT in classrooms, yeah, the more I am amazed with the feedback that is given by students, the insights that are given by students. Okay, if you ask about how often in terms of numbers, I cannot count, but I can assure you students will ask you questions as critical as sometimes I have to admit to in my class, like, oh, I'm not sure about this, let's ask ChatGPT. Okay, so I think students thinking more than sometimes lecturers, yeah. And sometimes we cannot answer the questions, so it is very encouraging to have ChatGPT and ask. But whatever answers you get in ChatGPT, we can actually bring our students back to all the humanizing aspect, okay? Because sometimes the ChatGPT answers can be quite inhumane. You have to bring your students back to the ground, okay? In terms of how often, yes, you will get a lot of unexpected critical questions and answers.
Thank you, Professor.
And that's a question from. Okay, at the end of the talk, we need to visit our goals in language learning, and with artificial intelligence, teaching can become better and become more advanced. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Dr. Quintan. See you later. Okay, now we go to our third speaker, Professor Didi Suryadi MA from UPI Indonesia. Are you here, Professor Didi?
Yes, oh, I'm here.
Okay, Professor Didi Suryadi is a faculty staff of English Education Department in the University of Education. He got his master's degree from London University in 1997 and doctoral degree from Linguistics program, Indonesia University Jakarta in 2005. Currently, he is also the Vice Rector for Academic and Student Affairs, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. His latest article was published in Language Teaching Journal, Cambridge University Press. He has published 2 book chapters in Routledge and other books published by his university press. He is a member of TEFL International USA, ICETeLL, UK, ICETeLL, and TEFL. He initiated annual conference on applied linguistics in 2008 and founded Indonesian Journal of Applied Linguistics. Okay, Professor Didi will give presentation about word Englishes, current trends and future direction.
Okay.
The prominent features in word Englishes. Okay, the screen is yours, Professor Didi.
Thank you, Bu Juliet. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to all of you, honorable managers of Universitas Muhammadiyah Purwokerto, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee for inviting me to participate in this prestigious conference. My topic is about world Englishes. Can you allow me to share screen, Bu Zulia?
Okay, Prof.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. My topic is about world Englishes, current trends and future direction. I will first define about world Englishes. What we mean by world Englishes is functional and formal variation of English and each international acculturation, making English belongs to those who use it, including us. We have some different approaches to describing and analyzing Englishes worldwide. This is from Bolton. New Englishes found in outer circles. But number 3, the definition from Bolton, the study of the English language worldwide, including English, which is in Indonesia. We have also a definition from online Oxford English Dictionary. World Englishes is localized or indigenized varieties of English spoken throughout the world by people of diverse cultural background in a wide range of socio-linguistic contexts. We have some prominent figures in world Englishes. The first one, the most prominent one, is Braj Bihari Kahru, an Indian American linguist, the founding father of world Englishes, who coined the term world Englishes. According to Kahru, there are three concentric circle model when talking about world Englishes. The first one, we call it the inner circle, which refers to the countries where English is used as the primary language, like what we call it USA, UK, New Zealand, Australia. And we have also the outer or middle circle denotes to those countries where English usage has some colonial history, like what happened in Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, here India, Nigeria. We call it outer circle. And then the third one is the expanding circle, includes the countries where English is spoken, but where it does not necessarily have of colonial history or primary official language status, like what happened in China, Russia, Brazil, and also in our country, Indonesia. Here we have Andy Kirkpatrick, saying that according to Kirkpatrick, in world Englishes, we have nativize, we have native. Native is like English in Britain, in also in the United States, and we have also nativize. Nativize English is the one as we can see in India, and the third one we have English as a lingua franca, which is English used in like in Indonesia, like in Brazil, also in what we call it outer circle in Kahru three concentric circle. According to Kirkpatrick, in world Englishes, variation is natural, normal, and continuous. Varieties, prejudice against varieties is likely, but it's just prejudice. So we can say that maybe Indian English is not quite understandable, for example, or Indonesian English is influenced by Japanese accents, for example. It is just varieties. It is only prejudice when we are talking that one accent or one variety is good, one variety is not good. In world Englishes, multilingual non-native teachers are ideal. So we do not put a native speaker teacher as the ideal one. So native speaker teachers, non-native speaker teachers are as ideal as they are. And specific teaching context and specific needs of learners so determine the variety taught. So when we are in Indonesia, and what variety of English that we should teach to our students will depend on the specific teaching context, whether our students will communicate with those coming from outer circles or from expanding circles or from the inner circle of English. It's up to their needs and context. Differences between all varieties, whether it is nativized or native, similar and comparable. So whether Singapore English, whether British English are all the same and can be compared. And we have 4 paradigms in world Englishes. The first one is what we call international English, world Englishes, English as a lingua franca, and global local English, or we call it global English. Here is number 1. When we are talking about international English, this is the variety of the English language, which is normally employed in writing and normally spoken by educated speakers of the language. And when students of EFL, ESL taught when receiving formal instruction. So when we are being taught in our formal education system, when we are talking about English as a foreign language, when we are tested through TOEFL or IELTS, we are talking about international English. International English suggests that the words English users of English desire and demand international English, and it is considered as the most effective form of this communicative tool of immense power. So here we have some view of the global spread of English, that this perspective comes from colonial celebratory. So we are promoting decolonization of decolonized countries by countries like Britain. Yeah. We are talking also about modernization. We have also laissez-faire liberalisms. Okay. I will not talk about the rest of the information in the column. And here we are also going to talk about world Englishes, which refers to the wide-ranging approach to the study of the English language worldwide, particularly associated with Brij Bihari Kahru and other scholars working in world English paradigm. So not only Andy Kirkpatrick, not only Brij B. Kahru, we have Kingsley Bolton, we have Alastair Pennycook, we have also David Gradle, and so on and so forth. We have the word pluricentricity of English over three main blocks of English users in the world. So we do not refer to monocentricity or dual centricity, but pluricentricity. So it can be, so the English that we are talking about may come from inner circle, may come from outer circle, or it may also come from expanding circle. World Englishes show the limitation of the perspective of those in inner circle who expose strongly English as a native language practices and approaches to the teaching of English as a second language or English as a foreign language. So World Englishes paradigm does not support English as a foreign language, English as a second language, or English as international language. In outer circle English and world Englishes, we have some views that linguistics hybridity in outer circle of English. We have hybridity, linguistic hybridity. And we have also post-colonial performativity in outer circle of English. And we have the implication for culture and development. Languages and culture change and adapt, cultural politics of change, language and knowledge difference. We have also some pedagogical implication in world Englishes. We welcome multiple standards, and we believe that change will always come. So we will never stick to one variety of English. And also critical language education for a struggle. So we are liberating the colonized country into a similar level with those using English as their native language. This is the paradigm of old Englishes. We have also the paradigm of English as a lingua franca, which refers to the expanding circle of English, Euro-English phenomena. So not only in the colonized countries, but in European countries, we have Euro-English phenomena, which is very different from British English, American English, Australian English, or New Zealand English, which is also different from Indian English. So what we mean by lingua franca, English as a lingua franca, is a contact language between persons who share neither a common native tongue nor a common national culture, and for whom English is the chosen foreign language for communication. So in our country, English is a foreign language, and we use it for communicative purposes. It is according to Perth and Inside Hoover. And this is what we call English as a lingua franca. English is used in a number of contexts, in Europe for a functional range and societal depth, contribute to the identity of English that is distinctly European in each formal manifestation and each functional allocation. So English is used by European Union countries, which is now without Britain, and of course the English used by Dutch people, English is used by Belgium people are different from British English. In ELF use, it indicates the modern day connectivity of expanding circle English, and the implication for culture and development. English is a language of communication in expanding circle English. No lingua culture from inner circle English. So whether we do not also support, or this paradigm does not support international English or English as a native language. And pedagogical implication, language and culture in expanding circle English develop in their own right. Pluricentric Englishes can be taught but with English as a lingua franca or. So here we see that in our country, we look at English from pluricentric perspective. English can be taught, but with the functional point is for communication. So mainly what I'm going to talk further is mostly underpinned by the paradigm of English as a lingua franca. And we have also here global and local English, or what we call as local English, to refer to English spoken in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Cameroon, in Ghana. And this is the language that has international status in each global spread, but at the same time expresses local identities. Here we continue with some research on world Englishes in Indonesia. We have research on textbook and world Englishes by Anissa. We have also attitude towards world Englishes, Indonesian English, English as an international language, English as a lingua franca, English as a medium of instruction, and assessment in world Englishes. Here, for example, in textbook, Anissa and Gusdian found that based on the pictures, the characters used in the pictures, the topics of the reading passages used in the two textbooks, they show that the inner circle and expanding circle representation are found in these two books, while the outer circle did not acquire ample depiction. Hariri and Munir found differences toward world Englishes among their among lecturers graduated from national and those from overseas universities. Imelwati, Abrid, and Kemal show positive attitude of pre-service English teachers toward Indonesian English and their interest in incorporating Indonesian norms and culture into ELT. Here, Imelwati, Abid, and Kemal talk about Indonesian English. Francisca and Subeki show that their secondary school students involved as the subject believe that they should learn and be taught English varieties from inner circle countries, but they have a very strong belief toward and pride in their local accents. Yeah. And also Myri reported positive attitudes toward ELF and its incorporation into ELT. Ramadhani reported that English as a medium of instruction can increase students' English ability. While Huda and Irham argue that a more friendly criteria should be introduced when assessing ELF learners' productive skill to avoid stressful, uncomfortable, self-conscious, or discouraging learning atmosphere that to a greater or lesser extent result from unjust assessment strictly upholding native likeness norms. So in assessment, they believe that we should also take into account a more friendly criteria which are based on not only native-like norms, but also should take into account the norms and culture of those the expanding circle countries. And later on here we have also another research on world Englishes. Raja Flora Putrawan reported that English as international language was positively viewed by participants as a means of global communication to achieve a variety of purposes. Here we have also gado-gado, bahasa gado-gado, or mixed languages. Martin Anatias found that Indonesian identities are in effect multifaceted, as indicated by selection of bahasa gado-gado as a strategic mechanism of resistance toward policies and social norms that privilege monolingualisms. Here we can see quite clearly about bahasa gado-gado. Gue tuh literally lagi bosen dan butuh me time gitu guys. Cuma confused perut gue sakit. So I'm a little bit not well. Jadi bingung kan aku tuh. Ini we don't know whether it is Indonesian, whether it is English. Yeah, but it is happening in Indonesia. Yeah. The article is published in Sage Journal, very good and very reputable journal. Indonesian English is also indicated by Devi, Winiharti, and Prawati, who reported that the average of the level of Indonesian students in understanding Indolese is significantly higher than that of non-Indonesian. So when we expose Indonesian English to Indonesian respondents, they will understand more than, for example, native speakers of English or the participants coming from the outer circle countries like India, Singapore, or Malaysia. English in Indonesian English newspaper, and Darto indicated that the lexical characteristic of Indonesian English could be categorized into roughly 4 groups: Indonesian origin loanwords, Indonesian English lexicon, resulting from semantic shift, and those from morphological shifts, as well as Indonesian English collocation. Here I see also from the internet that there are some precursors of interlanguage. I believe that the research that I presented to you, which are conducted by Indonesian scholars, need to be further explored because we still have so many areas which are still open for research and which are still open for discussion. We may question it whether it is a precursor of interlanguage, or it is a kind of error, or something else. But I will first say that it is maybe a kind of interlanguage in the process of acquiring English. Not English as a native language, or English in the context of inner circle or outer circle, but English as an expanding circle context, in an expanding circle context. So what we mean by interlanguage is a language or a form of language having features of two others. So the features of maybe Indonesian, the features of English, typically a pidgin or a version produced by a foreign learner. We may see whether the producer of the language that I will show you are English learners or not, or non-English learners. Here, for example, we may question whether it is a conceptual error or a spelling error. Here we can clearly see a list of menu in warung pinggir jalan. We have sedia sayur lodeh, sayur asam, Bali, sayur bening, but sayur soup, yeah, not soup, but soup. Yeah. So sayur, but it is very different from what we are having in our mind. Sop sayur maksudnya. So soup and soup. Yeah. And we have here also a menu, ayam, udang, seafood. Sea is English, food is English, but when we combine sea and food, it will result in different meaning. Not seafood, makanan laut, yeah, but we may also interpret it as seafood keong, yeah, but not just snail, yeah, but not. I think not that what is mean by the owner of the warung, yeah, but we may predict quite accurately that what they mean, what he or she means is seafood, fish from the sea. But here, the way of pronouncing or the way of writing or spelling the word is quite different. Sea and food. Here we have also what we hear, what we say, what we write. Sedia minuman dingin, mijon, actually maizon, Pocari Sweat, yeah, it's quite different. Aqua, Protang, dan lain-lain. We can argue, we can claim whether it is Indonesian English or whether it is Indonesian language, because mijon, the Indonesian people will pronounce it, will say it as mijon, not maizon. Yeah. And if we communicate, if we are using the word mijon, saya mau beli mijon. This is truly in the context of Indonesian, and people will understand it. But when we are using this word mijon, I believe that our interlocutor, our partner, will not understand the word mijon. Yeah. Pocari Sweat, maybe they will understand. Aqua, maybe they will understand. Prutang, maybe they will understand, because Prutang is only trademark. Here we have also egg roll. If we say egg roll, maybe native speaker will understand. Yeah. But when we ask them to ask the meaning of this one in written, I don't know whether they will understand or not. I have already tried to use ChatGPT to test the intelligibility of this, but not finished yet, and I will show you later. This one we have also literal translation, or I don't know whether it is true or whether it is a literal translation or not. Here no burn, tahu bakar, ya. Tahu bakar, tahu no, bakar burn, tahu bakar. No burn. But for grilled tofu, maybe something like that. Grilled tofu. It is really Indonesian, and they don't care about whether it is interpreted or translated correctly or not, but they know that they are using English. So this is some precursor, what I mean by precursor to what we call interlanguage. They realize that there is a language, not Indonesian, but English, and they want to express themselves in this language, which is not Indonesian, but English. And the result is no burn. It doesn't matter for me. It is communicative, it is functional, but we can analyze it more from our perspective as those who study language. And we have also this one as crime. S is for ice, crime is for criminal, but actually this is for ice cream. Yeah, because we cannot find any ice cream that does criminal, yeah, except for example racun cyanida, kopi cyanida, cyanida coffee. This is, yeah, but not the coffee itself, but the person. Okay, we have also this one. It is not in the form of word or phrase, but it is in the form of sentence. It is in the kind of prohibition. Please do not open when open must solve. We may find it in some shopping centers, maybe in some small shopping centers, whether in like what convenience stores around us. Yeah, I don't know. But what we mean is opening means buying. Opening means buying. But they use sentence, complicated sentence, and also some misunderstanding or misconception. Here we find it from the angkot. I don't know whether it is in Bandung or not because the color of the angkot is green. Full music, the distinction between full and full, yeah. Full music, yeah. And also music with K and music with C. Okay. And here we have also the.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Professor Didi. The time is running out.
Okay, how many minutes do I have? Finish? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, okay. One more, I just show you this one. New Peer the Ministry. It is actually
New Peer the Ministry.
Yeah. I think they acquired English, they know English. Nobody is perfect. It is grammatical, but New Peer the Ministry is not really English. Yeah. But they are using English word or English phrases. Yeah. Here we have also Alon Biomass. It is also Japanese, but it is expressed in English. In English, not English language, but English writing, English characters. Yeah. Here we have don't reach people difficult. There is no relation between the word don't reach people and difficult because don't know reach meaning kaya, ya people orang difficult, but we read it jangan kaya orang susah. Jangan kaya orang susah. Do you think it is English? We can research it more. We can examine it more later as our research agenda in the world Englishes. So we can refer to David Crystal in 1997. in Bolton, saying that when even the largest English-speaking nation, the USA, turns out to have only 20% of the world's English speakers, it is plain that no one can now claim sole ownership of English. So no, English does not belong to United Kingdom, does not belong to United States, does not belong to Australia, New Zealand, or Canadian, or it doesn't also belong only to Malaysia, Singapore, South Africa, Ghana, but English belongs to whoever speaks it. So if we question, do we have Indonesian English? So when we refer to Crystal, when we are using English, English belongs to us. So when the owner of the tracks use English in their track decorations, we may say that English belong to the truck owners, or English belong to the driver of the trucks. And we can say that those are English. But we still need more research. This is our future agenda, because when we are talking about Singlish, Singapore English, when we are talking about Malaysian English, when we are talking about Chinese English or China English, they have more research, they have more information about this, they have more description about this. But when we are referring to Indonesian English, we still have fewer works on it. So I think this Indonesian English or Indonesian work Englishes will become a very fruitful, very interesting research agenda in the future for those who are interested in work Englishes, especially in Indonesian context. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you, Professor Didi, for the nice presentation about the future of English and how to define a truly global language. There is a question for you, Professor Didi. Younger students may looking AR for language acquisition in the future as digital literacy increases among them. How will the English trend aid you and your students in learning activity?
So what is the question?
How will the English trend aid you and your students in learning activity?
How the English trend will
aid you, help you, and your students in learning activity.
How the English trend?
Yes.
Okay. I think the English trend will also be useful for all of us, whether we are talking about inner circle English, whether we are talking about outer circle of English, whether we are talking about expanding circle of English. Those Englishes will be helpful for all of us, because in our present global world, our young generation will go abroad. They will travel a lot all over the world. So they sometimes will go to European countries, sometimes they will go to United Kingdom, and maybe mostly they will go to India, to Malaysia, but mostly they will stay in Indonesia, but they will communicate with all people from all over the world, whether from India, from Russia, and they use English, but with different Englishes, with different varieties. So understanding Englishes, understanding lingua culture is very important, is very helpful for all of us. And we have very wide implication from this assumption to our practice as teachers dealing with students, whether in terms of curriculum, whether in terms of material development, whether in terms of assessment, and many more that we still need to do in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Professor Didi, for your kind explanation. I can summarize here that no one now cannot claim sole ownership of English. Even the largest English-speaking nations such as UK and USA, because English is now used anywhere, everywhere, and by everyone. Okay, thank you, Professor Didi, and see you for other occasion.
Okay, thank you. I will leave now.
Yeah. Now we go to the fourth key speaker, to Dr. Titi Rohayati. Are you here, Dr. Titi Rohayati?
Yes, Miss Surya. Can you hear me, Miss?
The voice, yeah.
Can you hear
Oh,
me?
Swarlana. Okay, I think we change the schedule. Is that okay for you?
No, I'm okay. I'm ready here, Bu Julia.
Bu Titi is ready.
Can you hear
Okay.
me, Miss Julia?
Yeah. Yes, I can. Yeah. Bu Titi Rohayati, here, Dr. Titi Rohayati, MBD. She is a lecturer in Magister Program English Language Education. Muhammadiyah, Purworejo Muhammadiyah University. And then she graduated from ICETeLL Negeri Yogyakarta for bachelor's degree, and then Universitas Negeri Semarang for magister degree, and Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta for doctoral degree. And then Bu Titi, Dr. Titi Rohayati, produced some books such as Cross-Cultural Understanding, Let's Speak English, Be Interculturally Competent, buku metodologi penelitian, and an English book based on intercultural approach and character building. And then Dr. Titi Rohayati will give presentation about English in the perspective of the formation of world citizens. Okay, the screen is yours, Dr. Titi Rohayati.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you see that? Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, can you see, all of you?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the time given to me. The honorable all the speakers that have a chance for having the seminar today, and then also for the committee that has worked very hard for this event, and also all the audience of the ICETeLL. I would like to have the topic on English in the perspective of the formations of word formation, of word citizen, sorry. Okay. English is an international language that is used as a means of communications between users spread across various countries in the world. With the different mother tongue backgrounds, these users continue to learn English not only as a means of communication, but also as language for mastering knowledge. The next functions of language is due to the fact that many works of science or scientific and technology are recorded in English. Due to the importance of English in the development of science and technology, all citizens in the world are obliged to master it. The world has become closer and narrower due to the presence of sophisticated technology, which does not require us to go to a country just to know its culture. For example, when we want to learn about the culture of Europe, China, Egypt, and other big countries, with sophisticated transportation technology, we can also go abroad easily in the blink of eye. Yeah, we now like living in a one culture because in the transportations and communication, it have raised very fast here. And then we have the one word culture. Word culture is a feature of global society that requires a language that can be used by all citizens of the world. English is one of the communication languages. English has become a language of communication that is growing worldwide. And for global language needs, English has been recognized and understood by people in the various parts of the world. In most cultures around the world, English can be found in some form, namely international news broadcasts, such as CNN or Chicago Bulls, T-shirts, free trade, MTV, and also the internet. Paper discussed English from the perspective of forming world citizens with the aim that all nations will become good citizens of the world when they meet various criteria in the process of forming them. And it has become a tool to achieve this goal. The discussion begins by looking from the history of English. Yeah, English has four periods: English of the past century, medieval English, early modern English, and modern English. From the past century, the arrival of three Germanic tribes who invaded England during the 5th century AD. These tribes were the Anglo-Saxons and Jutes, who crossed the North Sea in what is now Denmark and North Germany. And then second, medieval English. After William the Conqueror colonized and conquered with this army and became king, he brought the nobility who spoke French into the new government. French took over as the language of court, administration, and culture. English as the language of the lower class at that time was considered a vulgar language. In the 14th century, English became dominant in England again, but with many French words encountered in English. And then the third on early modern English. This language developed after William Caxton. He established a printing press at Westminster Abbey in 1476, when Johann Gutenberg invented the printing press in Germany around 1450. Caxton founded England's first press. And then the next is modern English. The main difference between early modern and modern English is vocabulary. From the early 16th century to the early 17th century, words from Greek and Latin greatly influenced English. This era is commonly referred to as the Shakespearean era or the Elizabethan era. In that era, there was a cultural explosion in the form of art trends, printing machines, and the development of sea transportations. These words are named after the inventor or given names according to the inventor's choices. Words like trains, engines, pulleys, combustion, electricity, telephone, telegraph, and camera. Global citizenship aims to empower students to read their own along with the knowledge and gained from studying global issues. Students need to be equipped with the necessary skills to increase their abilities and confidence to be proactive in seeing positive differences in the world. Oxfam has the conditions that to become a global citizen, we have to be aware of the wider world and have a role as a citizen of the world. The second, respect the values of diversity. The third, have an understanding of how the world works economically, politically, socially, culturally, technologically, and environmentally. Number four, oppose social injustice. The fifth, participate in contributing to society at various levels from local to global. Number six, be willing to take action to make the world a more sustainable place. And then the seventh, take responsibility for their action. Then we see from the countries of having the English, currently more than 75 countries have English as their national language, while 400 million people speak English as their first language. More than 750 million people speak English as their second language. Code switching and localizations have created many varieties of English, such as Spanglish, Spanish speaking, a combination of Spanish and English, Manglish, Malaysian, a combination of English and Malaysia, Chinese and Malay, Chinglish, Chinese, a combination of Chinese and English. This is like what have been discussed by Pak Didi, yeah, on the use of English in the world. And this also has been discussed by Pak Didi, yeah, on the circle of English. This inner circle where often the citizens use English as their mother tongue, and often they only use one language, such as the UK, US, New Zealand, and Canada. And then the outer circle is colonial countries such as Pakistan, Philippines, Ghana, and Malaysia. And then the expanding circle, Germany, Brazil, Japan, whose citizens use English as a foreign language, used in international communication, such as in the fields of business, diplomacy, and tourism. Okay, we'll see the three circles of English. The three circles of English, this is on the inner circle, outer circle, and expanding circle. Then we will see the inner circle covers the state. And then we can see that the three circles that is done by fixed. And then we can see from the English policy in some continents, yeah, in America, in Asia, let's see here in Asia, the role of English as learning English as national mission. In China, learning English is for the whole nation. Japan, cultivation of Japanese with English ability. Malaysia, Bahasa Malaysia has been given pride for place as the national language. The time has come to give English significant priority. Korea, Korean culture and Korean way of thinking, English focus on educational reform. And then Vietnam, English adopted as a second language, over and above former colonial language. And then Cambodia, English displays French as preferred medium. And then for the for the role of English on resolving the paradox, the China redefining national greatness, Japan reconstructing English and reaffirming Japanese. And then Malaysia reconstructing nationalism through English. And then Korea, English is a new language of nationality. And then we will see the English policy in Europe. 24 official language includes English and 60 minority languages: Bulgarian, Croatian, Czech, Danish, Dutch, English, Estonian, Finnish, French, German, Greek, Hungarian, Irish, Italian, Latvian, Lithuanian, Maltese, Polish, Portuguese, Romanian, Slovak, Slovakia, Spain, and Sweden. The written European Union Lisbon Treaty Declaration must respect linguistic diversity and prohibit discriminations based on language. Respect for other people, cultural openness, tolerance, and acceptance of others is highly valued. Okay, then here English policy in Australia. Australia's national language policy has 9 languages to teach: Arabic, Chinese, French, yeah, and then modern Greek, Indonesian, Italian, Japanese, and Spanish. And then Australia has a very unique, complex, and deep linguistic situation. There are very distinct indigenous categories which serve several varieties of English, Creole, Pidgin, and other native language. The second, population groups that speak British English, and the third, on immigration groups in the 20th century introduced more than 350 languages based on the 2006 census. And then English policy in Africa. There are 11 official languages. English is the main language used in government, business, and commerce. And then English policy in New Zealand. New Zealand has a diverse population in the global international community. They speak Te Reo Maori, which is located in the Asia-Pacific region. The area is inhabited by Pacific and Asian people. The most dominant language spoken in New Zealand is English. This is because there are more English speakers than Maori speakers. There are around 3,600,073,626 English speakers and around 100,057,110 Maori speakers. Some of the other languages used are Samoan, French, Hindi, Yue, not Chinese, and other languages. Okay. And then language policy in Indonesia. In Indonesia, English policy in Indonesia is as a foreign language. Emphasis on the educational goals and function of foreign languages is also found in the government regulation. One of them is to develop and disseminate science, technology, and art, and strive to use the language to raise people's standard of living and enrich national culture. The status of a foreign language is very unique in our country, in Indonesia. Yeah, this is because we have a history of interacting with other countries and improving communication. Currently, politics and economics intensively require relevant support from other countries. In bilateral and multilateral interactions with other countries, most require adequate proficiency in foreign language, especially English. The ability to speak foreign language is a determining factor for maintaining the dexterity, professionalism, and dignity of the Indonesian people in carrying out foreign policies and the language we use in interaction. It not only functions as a medium of exchanging information, but also determines the suitability of the material conveyed in the interaction. The role of foreign languages, especially English, in the era of advanced technology has become very advanced, and social penetration is very basic and strategic. This is important as information channel through technological media is generally submitted in English. The role of English is very strategic because in addition to its function as a transactions medium through information technology, it can also be used to introduce one of the strengths and capacities towards a global society. The use of English in Indonesia. We have discussed it as a matter of international communication, as a medium to be succeeded in the global marketplace, as a source of vocabulary, as a way to get to know native speakers, their habits, their culture, also their thinking. Then English in the perspective of forming world citizen. There are 7 characteristics of good citizen: good written and oral communication skill, the ability to work effectively in teams, master common business technology tools, the 4th, the ability to solve problems, the 5th, able to interact with many people from various cultural backgrounds, the 6th, ability to be skilled in solid leadership. And the last, the characteristics is have a high level of moral reasoning. Okay, conclusions is 3 circles of English is very important to know the roles of English in every nation. And then English is a global language that we use English to communicate and also to use technology and communication. And then global life is not only in terms of language, but also economics, politics, military, religion, and institution that all use the same language. So that communication between countries becomes smooth using the same language. The 4th, one-word culture makes it easier for people in the world to reach all places without problems because technology and information are developing very fast. And then the 5th, the characteristics of global citizen are as follows: good written and verbal communication skill, ability to work effectively in a team, mastery of common business technology tools, ability to analyze and solve complex problems, sensitivity and skills required to succeed in a culturally diverse work environment, flexibility to accept and implement change, solid leadership skills, fluency in at least one language other than English, a level of cultural and aesthetic sophistication required to understand and appreciate art, a high degrees of moral reasoning. And then the last characteristics of a good citizen, the role of English in the formation of good citizen is very clear, namely from one of the characteristics of good citizen who must have strong language skills and also be able to carry themselves well in local, regional, and even international relationship. As the first foreign language in Indonesia, English has provided many things, especially in the development of science and technology, so that Indonesia has been able to present itself in the international arena. Okay, that's all from me. This is my reference book. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Terima kasih. Yangkri Arukati CAC. Thank you, Bu Zulia.
Okay, you're most welcome to Dr. Diti Rahayati for the nice presentation and colorful presentation. Okay, now we welcome questions for Bu Dr. Diti. Any questions from the participants? No questions? Unfortunately, there are no questions for you.
It's okay.
Bu Titi, it's okay. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for your presentation and sharing knowledge, Bu Titi. And see you on other occasion.
Okay.
Oh, there is one question for you, Bu Titi.
Okay.
Question from Elia. When I am an internship in one of SMK, many students in the 11th grade still cannot translate English to Indonesia and vice versa. I think this is because of an online system for learning during pandemic. This is quite difficult for teacher in teaching if they still have the lack of the basic vocabulary. And the question is, how do we as teachers overcome this concern for learning English?
Okay. Thank you for the question. Who asked question? Elia, yeah.
Elia, yeah.
Actually, it is not in this topic, yeah, but it's okay. Okay. From my observations, the lack of vocabulary of the students, especially in SMK, after we have observation, and also we go to the schools. The teacher also complains about that because many books written by the government or the LKS that they have, they do not give the LKS, the student sheet, student worksheet, that is connected with what they learn. For example, from the automotive students, actually they must have the book on that, on the automotive course, and also for Tata Boga, Tata Busana, and many other department of the SMK, So it is very difficult for the teacher also to teach because there is no book for that, Actually, I and Busemi have that project, but we haven't done it yet. Okay, so this is about lack of vocabulary that related to the department. So this is chance for the other lecturers to make a book on that version, the versions of Tata Boga, for Tata Busana, for automotive bangunan, and etc. So what we teach is will be meaningful for them if they have that book, the book that is suitable for the department. That's it, Elia.
Yes, I think that's enough from Elia. Thank you very much to Dr. Ibu Rahayati for the nice presentation.
Okay.
English is a global language, and then global life is not only in terms of language, but also good characterized citizens. Okay, thank you very much. See you later, Putiti.
Okay, see you.
Bye. Now we go to the last but not least presenter from Russia, Professor Svetlana Andrusova. Are you still here, Professor Svetlana?
Oh, yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Just a moment. I'm regulating my presentation. Okay, do you see my my desktop now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? All right. Well, let me begin.
Okay, let
first
me
of all,
introduce yourself, Professor
yes,
Svetlana.
please.
Can I
I'll
introduce
regulate
yourself?
myself. Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
can I introduce you?
Oh, sure, sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Professor Svetlana Andrusova get her master's degree in philology and then doctoral degree in philology also, and she is a teacher of English in Russia. And then the honor or awards given to Professor Svetlana are Russian Fundamental Research Grant 2016 until 2018, Amur State University Grant 2022 and 2023, the Honorable Teacher Medal from the Russian Ministry of Science and Higher Education 2023. Okay, and then Professor Svetlana will give presentation about weak English forms and adolescents implication in English as L2 studying and teaching. Okay, the screen is yours, Professor Svetlana.
Okay, thank you very much. So first of all, I would like to express my grateful thanks to the organizers for inviting me to make this keynote speech. And secondly, I would like to thank the administration of my university, the Amur State University, namely our rector, Andrei Plutenko, who in 2001 allowed me the freedom to develop my own methodology, and who actually since 1997 has been supporting my research in this realm. Thank you very much. I will start my report with the motivation for addressing the issue of weak forms. Then I will offer a definition of a weak form. After that, we'll see that weak forms are a universal pattern of speech production and speech perception mechanism. Furthermore, we'll have some glimpses of natural modifications that cause weak forms, And here I'll be using the evidence from 3 languages: Russian, Chinese, and English. Finally, I will share my ideas of how to design exercises for controlling activity with weak forms in the classroom, and that will be exemplified by English. There are several facts that motivated this study. First of all, weak forms or reduced forms or contracted forms are universal. Actually, there's no language without them. Those who teach Chinese as L2 might disagree, though. Many of us have heard that Chinese syllable does not variate and that its boundaries never change. However, since early 2000s, we have witnessed the growing amount of experimental evidence concerning Chinese initials and Chinese final natural modifications, as well as numerous omissions and coalescence, all of them resulting in weak forms of syllables and syllable groups. And this was obtained in 2003 and 2005. Secondly, weak forms do not just exist, they are abundant. For example, if we again look at the data from Chinese obtained during the study of the material from conversation dialect corpus, we can see that about 32% of syllables in the speech flow are contracted. And this data were obtained in 2005. When we acknowledge the existence of weak forms and their abundance in many languages, we have to admit the third reason. So the third reason, without intentional training, weak forms can lead to perception failures, making the results of listening much less effective. So this is what Spanish teachers of English wrote in 2008. Even after a period of intentional training, Spanish speakers learners of English demonstrated considerably lower results in perceiving and producing weak forms compared to strong forms or full forms. In their study, only functional words or grammatical or structural words were involved. But I will show that not only functional words can be good candidates for weak forms, but notional or content words as well. In 2009, Akinyobi showed that without intentional training, weak forms can be a challenge even for a fluent English as L2 learner, like Yoruba learners of English. All the above reasons and examples prove the necessity for researchers and teachers to address weak forms. I argue that the fourth important reason to make weak forms a good target for research and intentional training in the classroom is that they do not appear chaotically. Instead, they can be explained and predicted. So what is a weak form? According to the Cambridge Dictionary definition, weak form is a way that a word is pronounced when there's no stress on it. So in this definition, weak forms are tied to word, and they are a result of the absence of lexical stress and or prosodical stress. But actually, the term weak form can be applied to 3 units traditionally. And and these are phonemes, syllables, and words. So not one, but all the 3. So weak forms of phonemes are not going to be included in our today's talk because first, there's a lot of controversy over it depending on what linguistic concept or school you represent as a researcher. And second, the discussion is too deeply phonological, and I really don't want to bother the participants who are not deeply involved in the issues with those issues. So I will show weak forms of syllable as far as I'm going to mention Chinese, where syllable is the basic language unit and it's equal to word, and of course of word itself. So to these, I am going to add chunks bigger than one word, and it's not a part of traditional concept, but it is quite logical and it's universal because in all languages, words come together to form the flow of speech. So a new definition that I would give to a weak form is that a weak form is the one that is the result of pronunciation weakening to a certain extent. Actually, nobody has measured this extent, and hypothetically, it can be any deviation from a word pattern that is characteristic for citation form. So I'll consider any weakening in a word pronunciation compared to canonical pronunciation as a trigger for a weak form. There are two myths that we should know about concerning weak forms in teaching methodology. First, they are slangish and incorrect, being a result of poor education. And second, teachers should not teach them either because of the first myth or because there's no time for such things in the classroom. Okay, let's begin with myth one. Many of you must have read a very famous book by Winston Groom, which is called Forrest Gump. In this book, you can see spelling peculiarities showing Forrest's manner of speech. They might be mistakenly viewed from the angle of what we know about Forrest, the main character. And we know that he's a half-wit who spent his school years and college years playing football instead of studying. So these spelling peculiarities that you see to the right, together with real errors like the ones you see to the left, and I don't dare to utter these things in front of this audience. So these peculiarities include numerous examples of natural modifications in the speech flow. So again, you can see them to the right. As far as the book, in this book, these two phenomena are not differentiated from each other. One might easily think that they both are indicators of poorly educated half-wit. So the question is, who in the right mind would teach that? Okay, however, the reality is that speech flow is a combination of prominent and non-prominent utterance chunks with careful and careless pronunciation types correspondingly. The latter with all sorts of phonetic reduction called natural modifications that result in weak forms. And so they are a result of natural regulation mechanisms that we use during speech production and speech perception. So who uses these forms? That's our other question. As numerous researchers have shown, everybody uses them. Everybody. Students, professors, media people, politicians, prime ministers, presidents, even presidents, everybody. When we produce speech, we encode information. Fast speech is said to be the major reason for emerging of weak forms. And it is a historical fact that nowadays we really speak faster than we used to. And that is the major reason of severe reduction. Another reason is varying information load. When the information load is low, then we automatically use compression techniques without even being aware of doing so. So when we perceive speech, we decode information, and during this process, decompression takes place. The important function of weak forms is to serve as a background for prominent chunks, production and perception. So in our mother tongue, we have already trained our perception to manage these things. As far as in our memory, words are stored in various phonological and phonetic patterns. And these are, it's very, very important, these are competing patterns, full forms on the one hand and weak forms on the other hand. Now, I think it's time to do the same thing for our English in use. Why? Because they are a part of our language instinct in general, including our foreign language instinct, if I can say so. And these things are a part of our biological behavior. By our nature, we perceive contrasts. I would like to give you just a few glimpses of what might happen when there's no prominence in the utterance. I prepared three tables for you, one showing the examples from Russian English, and then there will be examples from Chinese and from English. So Russian language first. If you look at the first table and compare column 2 and column 3, you can see that canonical patterns, because of this low prominence, can change drastically. You see, if you compare column 2 and column 3, that consonants are omitted, vowels are omitted, coalescence of the remaining elements takes place. And then, for example, if you look at the third example with the word 50, you can see that further quality reduction can also happen. And we see pretty much similar patterns in Chinese, okay, and English itself. And as we can see from those tables, not only functional or grammatical words are involved, but notional as well. And we could see that in those tables from the examples that I selected for you. The last example probably needs more comment. So the word 100, the English word 100, turned out to be a real killer for perception of Russian learners of English. And now if you compare the pattern, the canonical pattern and non-canonical pattern in columns 2 and 3, you can see why. So some segments just are omitted. The last segment is again reduced. So this word turns out hardly recognizable if you are not specifically trained in perceiving those things and classifying these modifications. So let me sum up those natural modifications I addressed several times today. They are vowel quality reduction, consonant loci changes, voicing, including tapping, devoicing, the opposite process, glottalization and glottaling, omissions, syllable and word coalescence, which is mergers after modification. And again, let me remind that the reasons are, first of all, prosodical non-prominence in the utterance, plus some neighbors that also provide certain influences for these changes. Okay. Actually, one single modification is not a real problem. A real problem is when they come to you in a rush, so series of modifications. And here I just prepared 3 examples from English that have those series of modifications. So the first one, within less than 1 second, 1 tap, 1 elision, 1 vowel quality change. So these things are combined, and coalescence of the first 2 words, would plus have, take place. And actually, instead of would have been, you have would have been, you know. In the second example, glottal bursts, 2 omissions, 2 taps, and coalescence of words 3 and 4, 5 and 7 occur. So take a quote and put it in. So a piece which is really hard for an untrained ear. And finally, 1 omission and 1 vowel quality change in drink plus every. So you see the result, and that's in prosodically non-prominent part. So the only way to, no, wait, sorry. Here we come to, after everything I've mentioned, we come to the second myth. And we have a question: what to do with this nightmare happening in series within time period, like 1 second, very small time period. So here we need to question the second myth: no time for these things in the classroom. Well, you know how detrimental these things can be and that they can lead to perception failures. And unfortunately, there's no magic wand that would make L2 learner to effectively perceive those things. So there's no such a magic wand. And if we don't have time for such things in the classroom, that's a pity. So the only way out of this nightmare is to nurture our love for weak forms and expose them to controlled activity in the classroom. So this is very hard work. This is very hard work for a teacher, for any teacher. What do we need to do? First of all, choose the appropriate material. Laboratory speech will not do here. What we really need is spontaneous speech samples, and then media oral discourse samples, movies, news programs, analytical comments. The more natural, the better. So secondly, we need to process this material, and this is a really hard task. So we need to find non-canonical forms, classify them according to the list of modifications you saw a few seconds ago, and we should do that in minimally sensible context, and then collect all these evidences and arrange phonetic exercises that would help our pupils and students to work with these issues. And then we need to train learners to produce and perceive those weak forms. Okay, designing phonetic exercises for English. Here we chose to make a bigger focus on consonants, and the reason is very, very simple. In English speech, consonants outnumber vowels. And here we try to use CVC syllable type and, you know, consonant clusters and things that anchor perception. So we picked out three basic types of modifications that create those failures in perception coming in series. The first one would be taps or flaps. The second, glottalization and glottaling, and third, emissions. And here I'm going to show you three exercises that we use for students to work these things out. The first one is taps. So you see how many they are. They come within a word and on the word boundary. And as you can see, functional and notional words are involved here. The second exercise gives you some glimpses of glottalization and glottaling cases that are actually that follow a certain pattern or several patterns that are not difficult to detect but quite possible. And as you can see, there are even more than in the first exercise. And finally, emissions, abundant emissions. You see in the last example how many within less than 1 second, how many vowels and consonants are omitted. If we count, we can see that it's five during the interval of 1 second. So this is what we offer to our students for training, things that make their perception of English text for listening much, much easier. Actually, for training these things and for assessing how well the skill is acquired, we can use quite traditional methods like gap filling and script making and modification identifying. The last probably is not traditional, but anyway. And now let me show you the results of my students' work. They worked on a sample of video produced by a speaker from Finland, a lady who was speaking English about the economic development of one of the islands. And the students were given a task after training, of course, after performing a series of such exercises, at least for a month. So they were given a task to make a script, and then in this script, find and classify those modifications and arrange them in exercises. So the students, actually the students' major was future English teachers. So this is their profession to do that. And this is what they found. The sample was just 15 minutes long, and they performed 3 exercises: TAPS, glottalization and glottaling, and emissions. And you can see how many of these things they found: TAPS, glottalization, and emissions. So the whole multitude of those things that trigger weak forms. So coming to conclusion. In conclusion, I would like to say the following. By our nature, we possess wondrous flexibility and adaptability in terms of language learning. Our mouth, ears, and mind are easily trained. Language arranges our thought, action, and all our patterns. Language is our survival tool. Therefore, we must teach it with dedication and learn it with passion. And to become effective English language users, as one of our previous speakers said, constant efforts should be made to urge acquiring commonly used word phonetic patterns in speech production and in speech perception. The sooner we begin, the better, but it's never too late for a lifetime learner. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Svetlana. There is a question from your student here.
Just a moment, I will stop
Eddie.
sharing. Okay, chat, are they in the chat? Okay.
In the chat. Eddie, you want to say
okay.
yourself?
Okay. I try to
okay, so please ask.
Okay.
I find it hard to find the question in the chat.
Yeah. Okay, you can find it. Yeah, based on the Professor Didi said that we are multilingualism. Indonesian is multilingualism, and then we have a problem when we speak in public area. So when we talk in English in class, it's okay, but in public area, some of we try to analyze that there is some word which is have same like a homophone with a local language, but yeah, some people will what is it, laugh when hearing something which is same local language. And yeah, my question is there any is there same condition in Russia, and how we can motivate for a young learner to speak in English actually in public area? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. That's a wonderful question, actually. And I know students who learn Chinese, Russian students who learn Chinese, for example, and have the same problem. And actually, when they learn Chinese, there's a lot more about these homophones, coinciding with certain Russian words with kind of bad meaning that make people laugh, even cuss words. So with English, yeah, it's also the case. And one of these words, dangerous words for the local Russian ear who don't know English, is the name, which is pronounced in British as Peter, but if you try American English, that would be Peter, and this is a real problem for Russian untrained ear, and they start laughing because it's a kind of a homophone of a bad Russian word. And so what to do with such things? First of all, show them intentionally in the classroom. Make your people laugh in the classroom. Make your people be confused in the classroom so that they will be ready for that in the public, because you can't escape those things. You need to pick them out and train students in perceiving this, and train the students in knowing what reaction it can produce, and train students' behavior, how to correctly react to those things, or maybe not react at all. So this is quite a psychological moment here, not only the moment of methodology. Is it what you wanted me to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
okay.
You answer the question. Yeah, we have same problem here. Indonesia,
sure.
maybe we have more than we are multilingualism. We have more than two languages that we learn. So when we speak in English, yeah, like you said that in written English or spoken English, something strange or something what is it? Yeah, I mean strange to hear, and then they laugh. They laugh. I mean, yeah, as a teacher, it is a problem to motivate the student. Yeah, you answer the question. Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you. I in such cases, I usually laugh together with them, and then we calm down and take it seriously and professionally. Thank you again for such a wonderful question.
Okay, thank you, Professor Svetlana. We come to the end of this speaker session. To sum up your material, mouth, ears, and mind should be flexible and adaptable to perceive and produce language as our survival tool, especially in foreign countries. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Svetlana.
Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate the knowledge and the experiences from the keynote speakers. To honorable keynote speakers, our distinguished guests, all participants, I will leave now and see you on any other occasions. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for Ms. Julia Hasanah for organizing parallel session with the prominent keynote speakers with the numerous insightful knowledge. And also, once again, thank you for all the prominent keynote speakers from Russia, Taiwan, Malaysia, and Indonesia. And I must say that it was a very insightful knowledge from you. And thank you very much for keynote speaker and Ms. Julia. Before we move on to the next agenda, I will present the certificate of appreciation for our prominent keynote speaker. The certificate is awarded to, let me share screen. Share screen. The operator, may I share screen? I cannot share screen actually. All right, thank you. This is the first one. The certificate is awarded to Prof. Svetlana Androsova, the first one. This is maybe Prof. Prof. Svetlana still here. This is the certificate of appreciation for you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome. And the second one for Professor Chen. Yes, this is for you. Maybe Professor Chen still here. No. Number 3 for Association Professor Dr. Tengku Intan Suzila Tengku Sharif from Malaysia as keynote speaker. And number 4 for Professor Dr. Didi Sukiadi, MA. And the last one is for Dr. Titi Rohyati, MPD, Universitas Muhammadiyah Purworejo. That's all the certificate of appreciation from the committee. And let's move on to the next agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the plenary session in the breakout room Zoom. Each room Zoom will have one moderator who guides the discussion, and all the participants kindly assign the each breakout room Zoom that the committee prepared. And also, don't forget that you have to pay attention just because there are two kinds of attendance links. That's for presenter and then for the participant. So the attendance list is different between the presenter and the participant. And don't forget to fill it just because it is requirement to get the certificate. All the moderators are ready to come into the breakout room. All right, there are 9 breakout room. The participant and also the presenter may to join the breakout room. But ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizing committee, I extend my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for your present and active participation. And after you entering the room, you don't need to come back to the main room because all the moderator will close in each room for this conference. That's it from me. I am, and that's your master ceremony for today. So sorry for inconvenience and thank you for being here. And let's make this conference an unforgettable experience. And this is time for you to join the breakout room. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, just for information, Kusmin, you go to the room 1 for Kusmin. The operator, please allow all the moderator to share screen. Yeah. Mr. Murhadi, allow all the moderators to be to share screen. Okay, for Muhammad Kunto Aji, the link of attendance will you will get the link of attendance after you join the room. So the moderator will give you the attendance after all the presenter have do the presentation, not in the main room.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sini mau pirong lucu gaji mau buat belas. Delokan rong papat delokan.
Whatever I said, whatever I did, I didn't mean it. I just want you back for good. I want you back for good. Whenever I'm wrong, just tell me the song.